Hi everyone, Natalie here, and today I wanted to talk about how to do a proper abdominal crunch. I see a lot of things happen when people are doing crunches. Maybe you notice people at the gym and they're trying to do 100 or 500 crunches. They're moving really fast and their bodies are just all over the place. So there's three top things that you want to focus on when doing an abdominal crunch so that you get the most out of it. When you're doing them correctly, they should burn. It should be a lot of work, a lot of focus, and you don't have to do a whole lot to get some great results. A few things I want to talk about just with the anatomy at first is talking about the abdominals that we do have. We have internal and external obliques. Those are our rotating and side bending muscles. We have the six-pack abs, which is our rectus abdominis on top, and those kind of run up and down. And then the most important abdominal muscle that I want to talk about today is your transverse abdominals, and those run diagonal across the body. They attach to the back and actually help support your spine. So when doing your abdominal crunches correctly, your waistline should actually be shrinking, tightening, and supporting the back. So if you've got low back pain at any point in your life, abdominal crunches, doing them the proper way, is actually going to really help with some of that back pain. And the other thing I want to talk about is breathing. Okay, breathing pattern during your abdominal crunches is absolutely essential. It's what's going to give you the most engagement during your abdominal crunches. So I like to think of the breath and the diaphragm and how we breathe in. If you can visualize a dice. A dice has 6 sides, a top and a bottom, two sides, and then a front and a back. So when we take a breath in, we bring air into our body and then we exhale, let it out. So as you breathe air in, think of that dice as expanding in all directions. The rib cage expands side to side, front and back, and you have a lift of the chest and the diaphragm drops. So that dice expands as you breathe in, and as you exhale, you can contract everything together. This is why it's so important to be using your breath while you do your abdominal crunches. You want to be exhaling as you lift your head off the floor and your chest off the floor, because as you exhale, that's when you can really expel all that air and suck in that waistline, okay? Very, very important. So that's one of the first things we're going to focus on. So going into your abdominal crunches, grab behind your thighs, roll yourself down onto your mat. So there are 2 positions you can do your abdominal crunches in. You can be in a neutral position with your pelvis, where your hip bones and pubic bone is flat, and that's ideal for someone who has been working on their abdominal strength for a long time, does Pilates, and has a great body awareness. It's something to work up to. Also, if you have a herniated disc, you want to keep that natural curve in your low back, so this is the position for you. Otherwise, for all of us beginners, I want you to do a little tuck of the pelvis. So you're actually pressing your low back into the floor and you're drawing your belly button in towards your spine. This is just going to help to lengthen the low back and really focus in on the lower front abdominals. We're going to bring the hands behind the head, gazing up at the ceiling. Take your inhale. As you exhale, lift your head and chest. Keep the belly scooped in. You want your neck to be in a neutral position, resting in your hands. Shoulders off the floor. Inhale at the top. Exhale, lower down. Again, to do a proper crunch, inhale. Exhale, feel the abdominals pulling in. That's what lifts you. Abs are flatter than they were before. Inhale at the top. Exhale down. Good. So that's how we want to do a proper crunch. It's a lot slower than you may expect. There's a breath pattern with it, and you're really focusing in on those abdominals, creating a lot of leverage to build that abdominal strength. A few things that I have a tendency to see is, one, let's focus on the breath because that breath pattern is important. People will either not breathe, or maybe they do the reverse breath. Or maybe they're just not engaging their abdominals deep enough. So I have a tendency to see for some people, when they lift up, their belly lifts up too. Can you see that? It's different than when I'm sucking it in and have flat abs. I call it the one pack. So you see people doing, 100, 500 crunches, and they're doing this, and their belly sticks out every single time they come up. There's no transverse abdominal engagement with that, because if you were engaging, your belly would not be sticking up towards the ceiling. It would be sucking in. So this is where you're going to get the most benefit from your crunches. Even if everything else is a mess, if you can master this one thing, you're going to improve your crunches tenfold and 100-fold and get a lot more results. So with your inhale, use that exhale, blow out the air and pull the abs in. Okay, so that's the number one most important thing. Number two, we're going to look at the lower body. So again, maintaining a position. Sometimes, if people are not really paying attention to what they're doing, there's going to be a tuck of the pelvis and the upper body with every crunch, and usually that abdominal pooch is happening as well. So the goal is maintain the lower body, whether you're neutral or tucked, and say you're in neutral. As you come up, nothing changes. There's no rotation of the hips, so you're stable from the waistline down, and just the upper body is moving. The third thing, we want to look at the upper body. So if you have a tendency to strain your neck when you're doing your abdominal crunches, you might be pulling your neck instead of firming up your arms, drawing your shoulders down. You want your upper body to move in one piece. And it's really coming from that abdominal strength. So use that exhale, pull the abs in, and allow the upper body to lift in one piece. You can keep your gaze upward. You can even look slightly down and forward, but we want to make sure that if you are looking down or forward towards your legs, your abdominals, you're not really yanking the neck. Your neck should be heavy and settled back into your hands with the strength of your upper back and arms. So that is how to do your crunches properly. I hope this helped you. I hope you can start to review some of this, go over this video a few times, and start to master these couple of key points on how to do your crunches properly, because it's really going to make a huge difference with how flat your belly is and reducing that low back pain. And that's one of the most important things. There's so many people in this world that have low back pain, and a lot of it is due to overstraining the back because you're not engaging in your transverse abdominal. So just learning how to do a crunch the proper way and practicing it and mastering it on a regular basis is really going to help with that low back pain. It's going to help with your posture, and you're going to feel 100 times better, hopefully. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to comment, feel free to share, ask questions. I'd love to hear from you all. I hope this was educational. Hope you learned something from this, and continue to share it so that you can spread the word and spread that knowledge of how to truly take care of yourself, your core, your back, and do your proper crunches. So hope you have a wonderful, beautiful day, and thanks for watching.